I'm Shane from Shane's Law. I'm here today with Thomas, one of our associate attorneys. We're going to talk about one of his recent client victories he was able to secure for one of our many clients, BF. So Thomas, tell me about BF's case. What happened?
Yeah, BF is the nicest lady you would ever meet in your life. Just the grandmother that you would imagine in all the stories, just in terms of who she is and everything that she does. She takes care of her older husband, who's in a nursing home and is just trying to get by, doing what she does on a daily basis. Here she was driving to go see him at the nursing home, and somebody collided into her, rear-end collision, about 55, 60 miles per hour, it was estimated. So massive property damage and pretty significant injuries for someone who's in,
older
twilight of their life.
Yeah,
maybe.
Did she have to go right to the hospital, or was she able to sort of figure things out?
Yeah, she went to Wake Med, and she got some, initial emergent care and was referred to follow up with an orthopedic doctor and, her primary care physician as well.
It just is frightening to me to imagine somebody at the nursing home waiting for you to get there, and then you get into an accident on the way to go and just hammered by another vehicle. I mean, that seems like it just makes it all worse, because what if the person there doesn't have a cell phone? What if they don't have all those things and they're expecting you there and then boom, you're not there? Imagine the fright and fear they go through until you can get in touch with them.
Yeah, these don't just impact the person who is involved's life, physically. It impacts people outside of them, and also, the mental, psychological trauma that goes along with these.
So after the emergency room, what happened?
So she got set up with physical therapy, went through physical therapy, went to see an orthopedic surgeon for her shoulder. She had neck and back injuries as well, but the primary injury here was a rotator cuff tear.
Okay.
She got some treatment with that surgeon, and eventually was recommended a surgical procedure to repair that rotator cuff.
Now, usually when we're dealing with older individuals, it's not uncommon for the insurance company to argue something is pre-existing or degenerative, or that the accident didn't cause the rotator cuff tear. Is that what happened here, or how did that go?
Yeah, they said, well, she's old, she must have been hurt before this happened. And I said, well, that's not the case, because here's what the prior records show. So they asked for, I think, 3 years. We went and got them 5. Showed, hey, there was no issue before this happened.
Okay.
And that was, something that was pretty effective in terms of being able to make the case here.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I mean, that pretty much ends that argument, right? That it's pre-existing, because otherwise it's got to be, well, she had it, she just didn't go to the doctor.
Right.
And if she's been to the doctor for other things, then that just totally undercuts that whole position, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, we were able to establish that she was injury-free before this happened in terms of her shoulder. And because of that, it was, just, hey, you need to do the right thing. You need to pay the money. Stop dragging this out.
Now, was she able to recover? Because I know normally in rotator cuff repair, the recovery time on that surgery can be pretty extensive and pretty difficult. How's she doing?
Yeah, I still speak with her a little bit after her case has gone on. Like I said, she's a very nice lady, kind of grandmotherly, and she's doing really well. She had it's like a cold therapy. It's almost like a freeze pack that would go on it to help in the recovery process. That helped out a lot here, and she seems to be doing great.
Well, great, good deal. Were you able to get her a good settlement with the insurance company?
Yeah, we got her all the money that was there in terms of everything that was available from the person who hit her, and then we got some more from her underinsured motorist coverage. So all in total, it was a little bit over $120,000.
How did she feel about that?
She was incredibly thrilled. Because we were watching her bills mount up and we were watching them kind of climb. I said, don't worry, we're going to get these taken care of. We're going to talk with these providers involved and basically plead with them to take lower amounts than what's there. And we were able to make that case. We were able to get some reductions on her Medicare that we had to pay back as well to the federal government. And she was, I think, shocked. I don't know that she expected us to deliver.
So with Medicare, when we have to pay them back, you said you can get some reductions. So what? We can basically plead to them and say, hey, this is unfair. This is a person who was hurt so badly. Don't take all the money you can get. Put it back in her pocket. Is that?
Yeah, you can make an argument to an extent for them bringing down that payment, looking at it as an extreme hardship or a hardship situation. There's also some statutory reductions that they're required to take or will often take. There's a range that they work with in terms of, we may take off this much, we may take off this much, depending on the bills, depending on the recovery. It seems to be one of those areas where, the government does get it right.
All right. So you said she was overly happy. I guess the only question I got to ask is, did she bring you some cookies or apple pies? Because that's what my grandmother always made me.
Yeah, wait, I need to call her up and ask her.
So no, huh? Well, Thomas, it sounds like you got her a great result, and I'm thrilled that she was so happy with the result and was able to get that surgery, and you're able to overcome basically them just arguing that she's older. I know I've talked to you before, that's one of my pet peeves when the insurance companies are like, they're old, they just got to deal with it, or something like that. And I'm glad you were able to get her a great result here. For all of our listeners, remember, if you're in pain, call Shane, 980-999-9999, and hit like and subscribe down below for more client victories from Shane Smith Law.
In pain, so I call Shane, 980-999-9999. In pain, call Shane.